A years-long effort to reduce plastic pollution in Florida waters got a legislative boost this session when lawmakers voted to ban deliberate balloon releases. The law took effect yesterday, and here to talk about what it means, I'm joined by Hunter Miller, St. Augustine-based field campaigns manager for the International Ocean Conservation Group, Oceana. Welcome, Hunter.
Thanks so much. Great to be here, Ann.
Great to have you. In just a minute, we're going to be joined by State Representative Angie Nixon to talk about this same issue. But Hunter, how significant is this moment?
Well, Oceana and our allies are celebrating this moment. As you said, we've been working to pass this law for 3 years, and we've worked in local communities to pass ordinances building up to this moment. And I think it's a really big win for wildlife, our beaches, and some of our most vulnerable marine species. Balloons really pose a significant risk to animals like sea turtles, marine mammals like manatees and dolphins. And so when we can pass a policy like this in a bipartisan way, I think we can save animals' lives and make Florida a little bit more beautiful.
Explain why it is a threat. Why does it pose a hazard in particular to these marine creatures?
Yeah, so balloons are attractive, and when we release one or hundreds of them, they go up in the air and they have to come back down. They can travel thousands of miles. They can end up not only in our oceans and our sand dunes, but in some of the most pristine and remote places in our state. And when they're in the water, particularly for sea turtles, they resemble jellyfish, which are some of their favorite foods. And when they eat these balloons, they can cause a lot of problems. They can get impacted in the digestive system, and can even be fatal. And then also the ribbons attached to balloons, they can entangle lots of different species. It's not just sea turtles. It's our shorebirds and lots of different types of wildlife, but even livestock like cows and horses can mistake these balloons for food and become sick or even die from ingestion.
And I saw that a statistic that between 2008 and 2016, nearly 300,000 balloons were found along U.S. beaches. I personally know the number's higher because I never reported the ones I picked up, and I pick them up all the time. So they are very common sighting on the beach.
Yeah, and I think, too, we got to remember, I think, for Oceana, we are working to address the larger issue of plastic pollution. And so while balloons, they're a part of that, the thing about balloons is that they're one of the most deadly forms of plastic pollution. So, I think that's why this is such an important law, is that they're just particularly dangerous for some of our most vulnerable species.
And explain to us, the previous law that was in place statewide in Florida allowed up to 9 balloons per person to be released, by a person within a 24-hour period without penalty. That is now, there is no exemption like that?
Well, until yesterday, yeah, you're right. Individual could release up to 10 balloons per day. There was also an exemption for so-called biodegradable balloons, so an unlimited release of those. And so, I think knowing what we know, I think that's too much. I think 0 is the appropriate number if we want to take into account, the science and what we know about the harms that balloons can cause. So, yeah, we're really happy about that. The new law does exempt children 6 and under, and it's now treated as litter under Florida's litter statute. So if you were cited for this infraction, it would be the same as throwing a bag of trash out your window in your car.
So it's a $150 fine per violation. Is that per balloon, do you know, or is that per kind of incident?
I don't know the exact answer to that. I would expect it to be the per release, but I think that would be up for interpretation.
Okay. So this recent vote that was, as you said, bipartisan, there were only 9 no votes in the state house, and 5 of those were Black legislators who argued that the law will disproportionately impact Black Floridians. To talk about that, let's bring in State Representative Angie Nixon. Angie, you were one of those votes against this. Can you explain why you voted no and what your concern is?
Good morning. Thanks for having me, and for sure. And so I want to be clear that I am totally in support of doing things to help improve and save the overall environment. However, we had conversations with the bill sponsor just in regards to trying to put amendments on the bill that would at least allow for things like a warning and that type of thing while folks learn more about this bill, because oftentimes in the Black community, at funerals or at anniversaries of or remembrances of death and things like that, folks release balloons, right? And it is nothing with malicious intent, but they release balloons to symbolize that life. And so we were really trying to get them to at least run an aggressive campaign to let folks know that this bill was passing, because we are concerned that it is going to disproportionately impact members of the Black community. I believe we even asked, was it going to be per balloon or per release? And it's so vague. The bill is so vague. And so, again, like, we're totally in support of the overall idea of the bill. But just right now, there is no media campaign. There is no awareness around it. And we're just concerned that Black people are going to be targeted in regards to it.
And Representative Nixon, it is true there are many events, I think, in the Black community, particularly here in Jacksonville, where a balloon release really is an integral part of that event. And I know that when I worked at the TV station, we would cover, for instance, if there was a crime memorial, that there would typically be a balloon release. And that was, a very emotional event and an important part of that observance. But we often discussed, even within the station, should we add a codicil to this coverage to say that is illegal? And a lot of people found that would be insensitive. But what is your feeling about the best way to let people know about this law change?
Right. So what I'm going to do, and what many of the other legislators have decided to do, is to reach out to different funeral homes and different organizations that work with victims of crime, to let them know. And, like, also, just no offense, but I know folks may say, oh, well, we're talking about it now. But let's be honest, like, this is the workday. These are normal working hours for working class families, and it's a privilege to be able to listen to this show at this time. And so, like, we have to try to get the message out on all avenues of media, social media, regular media, traditional media, all the things. But I am going to do my part as well, posting and letting folks know whenever I'm out at community meetings and that type of thing, that this is law. And I mean, it is going to be a good thing, but I also just don't want to unintentionally hurt folks that just don't know. They don't know the negative impacts that releasing balloons have on the environment. And so we really have to work diligently to really raise awareness across the state about it.
I'll take this opportunity just to remind folks that we also are a podcast. So if you miss an episode or you don't hear the broadcast, you can subscribe and it will drop in your feed every day and you won't miss an episode. I want to take a call, though, from Charles on the west side. Good morning, Charles. Go ahead.
Hey, good morning. Representative Nixon, maybe have an event or something at James Weldon Johnson Park and have a local musician compose a rap song about, don't be a buffoon and release a balloon, and have that as, an addendum to your campaign at town meetings, et cetera, to get the word out there.
Charles, with a pitch for a song, what do you say, Representative Nixon?
Potentially. But yeah, no, we're definitely going to continue to try to spread the word. I know I am working to do some partnering on different types of events with the Sierra Club. And so this is something that we can definitely incorporate into it as well.
I know one of your colleagues during the discussion and the debate over this was saying that it would be important to communicate this with funeral homes and, funeral service providers. Is there any effort? Is that something that you plan to do?
Yeah, I stated earlier, yes, we'll definitely be reaching out to the funeral homes in the area, particularly those that are in the Black community, especially. So there are a few in my district as well. And so going to send out a memo to them and have my staff not only email them and call, but actually drop something off to them as well.
Terrific. We have a call from Tiffany. Good morning, Tiffany, on the west side. Go ahead.
Good morning. My question is, I wonder if it would be possible, since we are seeing that, of course, we know a lot of event planners in the city are also African American. A lot of families purchase balloons from the grocery stores, Publix. They also go to Dollar Tree. They also go to Party City. I wonder if it would be possible to even post something up in those grocery stores, those businesses, and possibly hand something out to those businesses as well. Thank you.
That's a good question, Tiffany. Hunter, what do you think about that? Is there an opportunity to put up some signage to let people know about the new law?
Well, I think it's a great idea. I also know that Party City, which was a proponent of this law, huge distributor of balloons, already has signage. When they're selling balloons, there is a sign that really discourages folks from intentionally releasing balloons. So that does exist, and there should be more of that. I think that's a great idea.
We've got a call from AJ. Good morning. AJ, go ahead.
Hey, this is AJ with Mad Dads. Good morning, everybody. And I think that law has been in effect in Duval for a while. So what Mad Dads do when families reach out to us, we tell them that it's a law. Most people are not aware that it's a law. But most of the families that we have served, they understand, and we just end up doing like a candlelight visual for the families. But most of the families that Mad Dads has educated on the balloon and the environmental effect on it has been very receptive of it.
Thanks for the work that you do, AJ. Thanks for calling in. The shift here, Hunter, as he notes, is a statewide change in the law, but Oceana has been working for a while to get communities one by one to pass some of these laws. And as he noted, it's currently already illegal in Jacksonville. So catch us up on what the piecemeal laws were and what this changes. Yeah,
happy to. Well, I think, some of our best policies come from our cities and towns and counties. And that's certainly the case with this issue. In October of 2022, Jacksonville City Council passed an ordinance banning the intentional release of balloons. I think it passed 15-1. And we also saw St. Johns County, St. Augustine, Flagler County, and then other cities and municipalities around the state passing these laws. So I think that was born out of folks just kind of fed up with finding balloons in their neighborhoods, blighting their neighborhoods, and also in our waterways. And so I think that built the foundation for the call to action to do something more at the state level. So we have an existing policy that's clear and that covers, the entire state.
Well, it's a good conversation. Hunter Miller from Oceana, Representative Angie Nixon, thanks so much for joining us on the line. We appreciate it. Thanks for talking about it.
Thanks so much.